Hey guys, so in this video today, we're going to be talking about P0063. What exactly is the trouble code? Now, on our agenda today, we're going to be talking about the symptoms, the common causes, diagnosis steps, and much more. So be tuned, stay tuned, and let's go ahead and get right into it. Now, starting off with what exactly is the P0063 trouble code is, it refers to a problem within the heater or the heated oxygen sensor HO2S heater control circuit located in bank 2 sensor 3 of the vehicle's exhaust system. Now, this sensor helps monitor the oxygen levels in the exhaust gas to optimize engine flow and much more. So this is basically an emissions code. However, it is best to take this seriously as it can affect the way your car tests and much more. But the heater element in the sensor warms it quickly to ensure accurate readings during engine startup and operation. Now, when the P0063 code appears, it means that the ECM has detected an issue in the heater circuit, such as electrical faults or sensor failure, which can lead to poor engine performance and increased emissions. Now, moving on here, what exactly are the symptoms of P0063? I'm going to go through all four. However, if you want to go ahead and read more on why that is, just it's going to be on your right, but you will have a check engine light illuminated on your cluster that is just going to indicate you that this sensor is present. Now, reduce engine performance. Now, if you notice more sluggishness or a lot of rough idles during the startup or running of your car, this is due to the P0063 code, so don't worry about it, but it is best to take it seriously. Now, hesitation during acceleration. So you may notice a delay or hesitation when pressing the accelerator. Now, if you notice that your acceleration isn't as what it used to be, then that is due to the fact of this code. Now, increased fuel consumption, if you notice the car is taking in more gas than what you put in or it gas guzzles, then this is a symptom of this code. But moving on here, the common causes of the P0063 code is you are going to have a faulty oxygen sensor, damaged or shorted wiring, poor electrical connections, a blown fuse, or a malfunctioning ECM. Now, the causes right under it, it really depends on what your cause or what your issue is, but if you think it is a specific one, I would highly suggest you read right under what the cause actually is. But let's go ahead and move on here to the diagnosis steps of P0063. Now, visual inspection is one of the diagnosis steps. You could also do a fuse check or a multimeter test. You could also do an ECM scan, which is a lot better than, because you get to the bottom of the computer and much more. But um, if you want to do any of the diagnosis steps, you could read below and take it on further. However, we're going to move on with this and visual inspection details. Now, um, if you are going to do a visual inspection, I will highly recommend that you carefully examine the heated oxygen sensor on bank 2 sensor 3 along with its wiring and connectors. Look for any frayed, corroded wiring that may be in this as a problem, but look for any signs of physical damage such as cracks, corrosion, melted insulation, or frayed wires. That's already what I said. However, ensure that all electrical connections are secure and free of dirt or corrosion that would disrupt a heater control circuit. Now, you'd be surprised that a very little connection error can short specific components. So it's best to check those and get to the bottom of that. And damage to the wiring harness or connector often causes poor electrical flow, leading to the P0063 code. So identify and address these as soon as possible if you can. Now, fuse check procedure is this is going to be, I would read it all. However, it's pretty easy. All right, locate the fuse box that you have in your car. You usually find it on your owner's manual. Once you get a hold of that, or you know where the location is at, look for the specific fuse that controls the oxygen sensor heater circuit. So you can always have a diagram. Usually all cars have a diagram on its fuse box, but if you don't, I would highly suggest that you get an owner's manual if you're taking on the job yourself, or if you don't know how to do it, I wouldn't necessarily get a technician because it's just so easy. But um, to visually inspect it, I would really recommend that you go on and pull the fuse. Now, once you've pulled the fuse, you're going to want to kind of hold it up in the air. You're going to notice that inside the fuse, there's going to be a little coil in there. Now, this coil is like a hair. However, you're going to want to make sure that it is intact and it is not fried and it doesn't look like a hair, very faintly visible. So if it's black and it looks like it's burned up and the fuse just went bad, then it is definitely time to replace it with another one, and ensure that it has the proper amperage rating that it gives you. So you may even have like a 5 fuse, so just make sure the fuse that you take out is the same one and it is rated for proper function. Now let's move on to the multimeter test. Now first you're going to want to disconnect the sensor from the wiring harness and then set the multimeter to the ohms resistance setting. Now you can connect the multimeter probes to the 2 heater terminals of the oxygen sensor and then compare or measure resistance values as per manufacturer's range, specified range. Typically, you would look for around 3 to 14 ohms, but significantly, any outside readings of this range actually indicates a faulty heater element, so it may trigger the P0063 code. Now let's go ahead and move on. ECM scan and trouble code verification. Now, verify the P0063 trouble code and related issues by connecting an OBD2 scanner to the vehicle's diagnostic port, typically located under the dashboard. Power on the scanner and follow its prompts to communicate with the ECM. The scanner will read stored, pending trouble codes, including P0063, providing detailed information about the heated oxygen sensor heater control circuit fault. Now, it just ensures a precise diagnosis. But let's go ahead and move on with solutions of this code. Now, there's going to be a few solutions. Feel free to read the description by the ones I list off. But first one here is going to be replacing the faulty oxygen sensor. And then number 2 is replacing or repairing wiring. So frayed wiring and much more should be looked and visually inspected before taken on. But moving on to number 3, I've already mentioned, but you could check and replace fuses. It's super simple and super easy. Just take out the fuse, see if the little coil is intact. If it's fried, then go ahead and replace it with the right amperage fuse. Number 4 is inspect ECM functionality. So evaluate the engine control module for faults. If malfunctioning, consider reprogramming or replacing the ECM to resolve control circuit issues. Now, number 5 is a system recheck. So after any repairs, clear all the trouble codes that you did have and go ahead and drive your car for a couple of miles until it doesn't come back. And if it doesn't come back, then you are fine. Usually there is a certain amount of miles before it should come back, but if it's been quite a bit, then you are good to go. So moving on, replacing the oxygen sensor, super easy, but you're going to want to make sure that you look for it. It really depends on which car you have, so I can't really recommend a specific area where it's going to be at. However, look at the oxygen sensor, make sure that you are replacing it with the right tools and much more, and reconnect any electrical connectors in the battery, and clear any trouble codes once you're done. You can have a read at this if you want by pausing the video. However, we're going to move on here. So repair any wiring or connectors, we've already went through that, but frayed wiring and much more, it's very important to have that visually inspected and move on from there and kind of fix that. So those are pretty much the next ones. You could actually pause and take a look at the summary and much more, but that's pretty much it for today's video regarding P0063. If you found this video extremely helpful, please leave a like on this video. Check out our OBD Mastery catalog where we have plenty of videos regarding P0063 and any other P0 codes that you're currently having. Now, the channel is, frequently updating the catalog here, so bear with us if you do have a problem. If you do have a specific code that you want us to check, leave it down in the comments down below. We'll be sure to make a video on that, get that out as soon as possible. But until then, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you all for another video.